Mm.
Boop doop boop boo doo doo.
Doodly doodly doo 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 doo. All right, we should hypothetically be live here in a couple seconds. Yep, there we go.
Yep, I see us. Hello, humans and non-human beings.
Yes, hello everyone. Hope everyone's doing well this fine uh, Monday, at least for Ember and I, evening. Got a fun little video for tonight. So, now that the human evolution arc is slowly finishing up, I'm starting to transition a bit more into birds and dinosaurs because, well, I mean, it's an interest of mine,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
and
saw a
so
couple of lovely dinosaurs this weekend. One of them was a bald eagle who was suffered a wing injury, so is in recuperation care, something like that. And another one was a big old angry swan who just wanted everyone's French fries.
yeah, they do that. Uh, but tonight's video is by AIG, title "Are Birds Dinosaurs?" And I'm just curious how many things they're gonna get wrong.
Right? We should. Oh man, if we had time, having a counter would be fantastic. But yeah, it's a bit late to set one out. Set one up now.
Uh, I wonder if StreamYards has a thing like that. I don't think there's a way to put a
I haven't
to
found
put one
such a
in.
button yet.
Hmm. Oh well. Oh, and by the way, this video came out 3 years ago. The quality is 360p.
Well then,
Like that is the highest quality of this video. That is insane. What are you doing, AIG?
maybe they were. Oh, 3 years ago. That would have been like in the worst part of the plague, so they were probably like conserving their budget since no one could come to their Ark and shit and buy their DVDs.
I mean, maybe. Um, I mean, maybe. Thing is, it could have. Well, I mean, this is at least presented in a classroom.
Yeah, it is. It is a little wonky because like you can't even buy a camera that goes to that lower resolution anymore.
Yeah. Oh, April 24th, 2020. So that was before. Oh, oh, that was a that was right before lockdown began, wasn't it? In the U.S.
Depends on where you are. Here in New York, shit got bad on March 13th, and everything was shut down by the 16th.
Mm. Well, they're based in Tennessee, right?
Kentucky, I believe.
Oh, that's even worse. So yeah, probably very late. They were probably very late on
Who's to say? I mean, we could look it up, but I don't care.
that. Anyway, like, from what I can see, this T Rex model is a little interesting. I think we have a chicken over here. Let's
Maybe
see what they got to say.
it's got a wishbone.
True.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Science Live. As you might guess from that first shot, we're going to be discussing the anatomy of dinosaurs and birds today. And I'm joined by Dr. David Menton, and he is one of our staff scientists. Why don't you give the people a little bit of background about how you know so much about these bones?
So
That guy looks
I've heard the name
familiar.
Menton before.
Yeah, I don't know the
Uh,
name, but I know the face. I wonder if he
hmm,
was in that creationists talking about creation video compilation thing.
maybe. Oh, okay, Jake. That's actually a half decent joke. I'll give you that. Oh boy. If this was a drinking stream, I'd drink just for that. That's actually kind of good. Oh yeah, Dapper did a series on Mitten. That's right. Well, let's see how he describes himself. I haven't looked him up.
Well, I'm more of an authority on human bones than I am on bird bones, but I've gotten quite a kick out of looking at birds and dinosaurs. My background basically, I have a PhD in biology from Brown University, spent a couple of years in research at Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota. And then, if you could imagine, a young kid like me, I was 34 years on the faculty of Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. Was in the Department of Anatomy. It was all research and teaching. And I taught some gross anatomy, but primary teaching responsibility was microscopic anatomy.
Gross
We won't be doing any
anatomy.
microscopic anatomy today.
So today we are going to be
But yeah, I didn't hear anything about studying dinosaurs or birds in there.
No, just general biology. He mumbled something at the beginning about knowing more about humans, but nothing in what he said suggested any particular species or clade expertise. So who knows?
Yeah. Oh, also, yeah, Jake, I don't think they know what a gimbal is. This might have been done with like an 80s camcorder.
I think somebody did it with their cell phone, like a cheap cell phone.
Like a flip phone?
Maybe, although I don't think they'd have the memory capacity for a 30-minute video, even at this low
True.
resolution. I think it was probably like one of those off-the-shelf, $20 super basic Alcatel phones or something.
I mean, maybe. Like, because like they have good cameras for like their stage presentations and stuff.
They do, but those are big, like TV camera size cameras. They probably couldn't get them into this tiny little closet they're filming in.
I mean, yeah. Maybe the stage was busy that day, and this is just like the backup thing they did.
It is so weird to see them like with all that money and all those resources and have like the equivalent of a just starting out TikToker's setup, you know?
I think that's an insult to TikTok.
using Dr. Menton's vast knowledge of muscles and tissues and bones and how all those things work together to tackle a topic that's a big contentious idea between the evolutionary view of Earth's origins and the biblical view. So as I was coming to work this morning, I came out through the back deck and I passed by all the little dinosaurs sitting on the feeder and came into work. It was a lovely morning. There were a few of little dinosaurs fluttering around the parking lot. I just love getting out and watching those dinosaurs, don't you?
Hell
That's
yeah.
what they say. Have you folks heard that? That not only did birds come from dinosaurs, that's been taught for some time, but now they're declaring that they never ceased being dinosaurs, that the birds are in fact dinosaurs. They belong to the same clade.
What the hell
So
does he think they meant?
Yeah, that's what that means, Menton.
Are we sure he's a biologist?
Who
Like,
knows?
It's such a weird freaking thing to say.
Yeah. So, and I mean, like, Dave, that's probably, that's probably true for early AIG. This was only 3 years ago. Odd.
So dinosaurs aren't extinct. They're feeding in our bird feeders even as we speak.
So I was just joking.
Actually, you know what? At least, unless Mark or Beamsy show up, we can make this another open mic kind of deal.
Yeah, we could. I haven't heard from the others lately, actually.
Yeah. Here you go, folks. If you want to watch along with us, feel free to click the link. I'll just go ahead and pin it.
Yeah, I'm guessing Mark probably still isn't up for the day yet, and
Yeah, probably.
and who knows what's up with Beamsy? He'll probably pop in the chat at some point and make funny noises at us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my. And play.
I really don't think
I know.
that. But that is a common idea. And there have been lots of scientific articles and papers and things published trying to promote the idea that birds are dinosaurs. They just didn't really go extinct. They just changed into that over time. They evolved into that over time. So when we think about that idea, we want to evaluate that both biblically and scientifically. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to walk through this presentation and try and understand those things, help everybody understand those things. All right, go ahead and teach them what you've got.
Okay, well, the Bible tells us that God created birds on the sixth day of creation. And
The Bible tells
he
us.
created birds on the fifth day of creation, and walking creatures that don't fly and what have you on the sixth day, including humans. Dinosaurs would have been a sixth day creation, being terrestrial creatures. Birds would have been likely a fifth day creature. But scientifically, are birds really dinosaurs? Let's learn how to be skeptical about all of this. First of all, what's so
I wish
special
he
about
would.
birds? What's unique about
Yeah, and I mean, hey, it's good to be skeptical, but there's so much evidence for it.
Well, what I mean is like being skeptical of his own preconceptions. Like, it's not skepticism if you only challenge the stuff that disagrees with your preconceptions.
Okay.
about birds that separates them from really any other creature? We can look at my slide up here, and I've listed some things that I believe are unique about birds.
Okay.
A list!
Well, I guess we can go over these one by one. Amount of bone fusion. No, they're not unique in that. Just look at an ankylosaur. Pneumatic bones. Nope, not unique in that. Look at most theropod dinosaurs. Balance on two legs. No. The way they walk. No. The anatomy of their shoulder bones. No. Hip bones. No. The way they breathe. No.
breathe?
Yeah, it's no to all of these.
I've heard these crazy bird things. They use lungs.
Well, but birds, birds and many dinosaurs did share a rather unique respiratory system. In mammals, it's just like a big sac that, bring in air and then push it out.
I do love to fill my air sac.
With dinosaurs, it's more like a one-way tube. Like they just continuously breathe in, and the air travels all throughout their body, oxygenating all of their tissues basically directly.
What?
It's way more efficient.
I want one of those. Where do I sign up?
But that's why you have so many birds that fly at altitudes where, humans would just pass right out. They're just way better at absorbing oxygen.
They're going to take over the world again. They've got better metabolisms, better homeostasis, better oxygen and other gas exchange. Their brain structure is nodally based. We're all screwed, folks.
I mean, yeah, like if humans went extinct, the next group I would probably expect to, develop high intelligence on land would probably be birds. And we already see it with like ravens and crows.
Yeah, it was. I was humming. My camera's off, but I was giving a side eye to the imagined vision of a raven. I'm like, what are those? What are those sus birdos there up to there?
Now, when he talks about how they balance on their legs and the way they walk here, I'll probably go over that in more detail, but you can force them to walk like most other bipedal dinosaurs. Oh, we have a Jake. Hello.
Hey, Jake. I see you weren't kidding about upgrading your equipment. I see a big old microphone.
Yeah, try to get that out of the way.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. Hear me?
Oh, how's it going?
Not bad, not bad. It's just you guys opened it up, and I'm like, oh, I got to jump in on this one because number one, I did watch Dapper's series about Menton, where he was like trying to explain why birds aren't dinosaurs, and it was just dumb, like painful to watch. And then I also recently took my daughter to the Indianapolis Children's Museum, which is they are
Oh, that place is
huge.
awesome.
Yeah, they're huge on dinosaurs. They actually have their own dig that they're funding out in Montana, and they're bringing the fossils back and cleaning them up. They're in Indianapolis and everything. So I got to nerd out, and the people that work there were just like, "Who are you?"
Nice.
There's a weird lag on your microphone. Is there some kind of built-in noise filter or something?
Maybe not lag, but more like a scratchiness is what I'm hearing.
I'm not sure how to describe it.
And your camera is frozen as well.
We annoyed the internet gods.
Oh no.
You'd think they'd be appeased. Just a little while ago, I did a stream about what robot gods might be like, and so like you'd think the robots would be happy that I'm spreading the good news of their religion, but no such luck, I guess.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, hopefully Jake comes back and everything functions soon. Till then, I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
the play.
I mean, it could be a restart is just what the doctor ordered, but my guess is internet glitches.
True.
First of all, if I had to characterize a bird skeleton, I'd say bone fusion. Now, we have a lot of bones that are fused in our body. We have about 207 bones, but when we were a baby in the womb, we had many more bones than we do here today because bones have fused. In our hips, bones have fused. But in birds, as we'll see, this is really very extreme. You've heard birds have hollow bones. That's not really the best word for it because, let's face it, any bone that's lying out in the field, it's been there for a few years from a dead cow, is going to be hollow. So the issue isn't hollow bones. The issue is pneumatic, filled with air in life. And birds, almost all the bones of their body have at least.
Sorry, filled with air and life? Are mammal bones filled with death?
Apparently. That's our problem right there. That explains why parrots can live for 300 years, though. They're filled with life. And me lucky charms.
At least some air in, and this air is all attached or communicates with their respiratory system. Here's another big one for birds. The way they balance on two legs. If you walk on two legs, you have a balance problem. You ever try eating at a table with two legs?
Oh,
my dude, we balance on two legs.
Welcome back.
Hey. Yeah, the brain has to do a lot of computing, but it's all, computing work. It's done back in the motor cortex. We don't even have to think about it once everything's properly trained and calibrated. I imagine bipedal dinos work the same way, or close enough.
Yeah. And if anything, like most bipedal dinosaurs were more stable than humans because they have a built-in counterbalance.
I am so mad that we lost the tail plug-in expansion pack, whatever you want to call it. I realize it would make sitting a little more complicated, but how fucking useful would a monkey tail be?
Yeah, could be useful.
If it was what do they call it, prehensile, like able to actually move and do like an opossum,
Yeah, some of them. Now I'm not sure if I've seen it for real or only in a movie, but I have seen imagery of monkeys grabbing things by wrapping their tail around them.
Yeah, I think some monkeys can.
Yeah. And so here, he was just talking about the way birds balance is different. Birds balance differently than bipedal dinosaurs because they don't have that tail. They have to sit back a ways to balance better. But There's a study that was done where they put an artificial tail on a chicken and had it walk, and the way it balanced automatically changed to be more like, a bipedal non-bird dinosaur. I'll just go ahead and show it here. It's cool. So there's the normal chicken walk, and then with the thing on the tail, just like the posture changes, and it looks like like a normal bipedal dinosaur, and it walks like one too. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine. I mean, I'm just speculating again, but it seems to me that the center of balance shifts based on how the body functions. Like if you're a ground dinosaur, you want that elongation to bring your center of balance down and be able to move fast and maneuver quickly with your legs. You need something to push against and stay balanced. Whereas if you're an air dinosaur, then you want a narrow, more compact center of gravity so you can change direction quickly.
So kind of. What a lot of non-avian dinosaurs did was kind of a unique. Well, they share it with crocodilians, but they have a specific muscle attachment method. They have this special muscle that goes back to the tail and to the femur.
Oh, they get special muscles too. For fuck's sake, these guys get all the things.
Well, it's a big retractor muscle that just let them shove their rear legs backward for propulsion. Really efficient mechanism that birds kind of gave up on in favor of like a short, really easy to control pygostyle little tiny tail they have now. That's easier for small control. Sorry, fine control.
Yep, makes sense. And also, you don't need a whole bunch of extra mass that's not helping to generate lift or,
Hmm.
participate in the engine function of flight. It's just
Exactly.
it's not helpful. You gotta lose the mass.
Hmm. And also, the funny thing is, more agile dinosaurs tend to have much smaller tails, or at least much thinner tails. Uh, just it, and they also have a more bird-like posture, like modern bird posture. Just because having two long weights on either end of a teeter totter kind of makes it a little hard to turn efficiently.
I suppose.
Yeah. But
It's really quite a handful. You have one hand eating, the other to keep the table steady. If a creature's going to walk on two legs rather than four, it's like going from a four-leg table to a two-leg table. It's all about balance. And the way birds balance is totally different from the way any other creature balances on two legs, including dinosaurs. The way they walk. Nothing walks like a bird. In fact, I'm going to invite you today to try to walk like a bird and see if you can do it. I don't think you will, but we'll give it a try. Another distinction is the anatomy or the structure of their shoulder bones, the way their arms or wings more accurately fit on the creature. Absolutely unique in birds, the way that is put together. And then also the hips, the anatomy of the hip bones are very distinctive for birds.
nope.
And the way they
No,
breathe.
they are not.
Because we're going to talk about
Yeah,
bones
like just
primarily today.
he
But
really is
nothing
just
breathes like a
wrong
bird.
on all
I'll give you
of
an interesting
this.
figure on how good bird breathing is. Birds have been hit by aircraft, commercial aircraft, at altitudes of 37,000 feet. Now, I don't think a dinosaur would be able to puff very well at 37,000 feet.
I don't think I would either.
Yeah, it'd be tough. But birds are able to do that because they not
Is
only
Non
that
have
sequitur.
the
Oh,
reverse of an
hemoglobin.
equivocation?
sorry, why is the other guy on his phone? Come on, man, you're on the job.
I love their like little lab coats that they're wearing to add to the aesthetic here.
Trust
This is-
me, I am a sciency boy.
yeah. I'm wearing a lab coat. You can believe what I say.
Also, bad, Robert. Bad. How dare you?
Behemoth.
Ugh.
But no, no, he totally is just dead wrong about the
Mhm.
hips. That's one of the things that I was talking about, because they had an ilium from an allosaur when we were down in Indianapolis, and I was explaining to my daughter that the ilium is one of the bones, part of the hip, and that you know that's how one of the ways that we know birds are dinosaurs, because they have these certain aspects, which being the synsacrum, where a certain number of vertebrae fuse with the hip bones themselves, and
Mhm.
also that they have an open acetabulum. And the guy working there was just like, I love this vocabulary thing you got going on. I was like, I watch a lot of YouTube. So yeah, the hip thing, he is absolutely just, that's, he's either mistaken or lying or both.
Yeah, never discount both with AIG.
Well, with young earth creationists in general.
Eh, yeah, true. But so I can't show them both very well. But like here's a chicken skeleton right here. And you can just go from that to an Allosaurus. And might be able to see a few similarities. Uh, going from one to the other. Like one's much more derived, but they have similarities. And depending on the dinosaur you look at, there's a lot more similarities than there are differences.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
Compsognathus one of them that's really like, as far as actually being a theropod, Compsognathus is one that's very bird-like.
I mean, like, sorry, just my brain. I'm trying to think of species. Man, I've been creating a new video on this topic. I can't remember what it was. There's a bunch. There's tons. There's tons.
Yeah.
Um, here, Zhenwan Long here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This is a 10-foot long feathered dromaeosaur, so relative of Velociraptor and Deinonychus, and you can just see the massive wings stretching out here in this death pose.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a funny too, because like the creationists always talk about like, well, what good is half a wing? Well,
A lot
um,
of good.
yeah, that's was the thing with like Oviraptor. It got its name because they thought it was an egg eater, but what it turns out was, no, they were very protective of their eggs, and they sat on their clutches of eggs. And what a lot of the paleontologists and stuff now claim is that, hey, the half a wing, they would drape over their legs as they were sitting on the clutch of eggs in order to help incubate the eggs.
Yep. Helps with brooding, helps with running, uh, extra control over jumps, being able to climb much steeper surfaces because you can flap to help propel yourself. Like there's so many benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's
Like
a reason why
look,
ostriches still have those big wings even though they can't fly.
that's an excellent point.
Pantless
Chickens
thunder
and
goose.
lots of other flightless birds, they still have advantages from them. Or if you want to look at like a developing partially functional wing, flying squirrels. No guarantees those will ever turn into real wings, but it does give them similar function.
Yeah, and the first, I guess, flying dinosaurs, they weren't even actually flying; they were gliding. Like, oh god, was it Microraptor? Was one of them
Microraptor was
Archaeopteryx?
capable of weak powered flight.
Okay,
It wasn't a strong flyer, but it could fly.
okay, yeah. There's
But
so many,
but yeah,
especially
jumping and gliding.
recently. Yeah,
Yeah, chickens have I mean, technically a chicken can actually like not just glide but generate lift with their wings. They just can't do it for very long.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Depends on how fat they are too.
My daughter's old babysitter had chickens, man, and those stupid things would be in the driveway every time I went in to drop her off.
They're stupid, but they're actually kind of scary when they decide to be predators.
Oh yeah,
Like
when
you
chickens
see
want to be
the inner
mean.
dinosaur.
Oh, and geese. Oh my God, Canadian geese. I work at a landfill, and we have an infestation of Canadian geese, and those guys are brutal. They are mean.
Yeah.
Well, I suspect that they're more bark than bite. I mean, I raised geese on the farm I grew up on. Obviously, our geese were a little different because we raised them from little babies. But even running into wild Canadian geese, like they hiss and they'll pinch and if one of them is on a nest and the gander is nearby and he sees you, he'll hiss, he'll jump, he'll fly right at you. But if you don't flinch, he'll panic because he's expecting you to move.
Yeah,
And now he's
I've
about to collide with, a large amount of mammal mass.
I've had one fly at me, kicking its feet at me, like with like
Yeah,
It's a little
they
it
do
different.
have
was yeah,
claws.
it was wild. I was swinging my clipboard at it. I'm like, get the frick away from me.
You do have to watch out though. Their wings aren't super powerful, but they exert just enough force that they can knock your knee out of its socket if they hit you sideways.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
Although them breaking bones with those wings is a myth, though.
yeah, I don't know
Like
why
they're not
these
that strong.
these geese we deal with are so aggressive, but they are really aggressive. So
Well, I
There
mean,
is a legend that the reason that Canadian people are so nice and wholesome and polite is because every autumn on the equinox they conduct a nationwide ritual where they take all their hate and vitriol and rage and send it into the geese. And then they send the geese
yep.
south.
I'll buy that one.
Oh, and Sydney here. Not only has flight evolved at least 4 times in different animal lineages, it evolved like 3 times in dinosaurs. Like just in dinosaurs.
Much like carcinization is a thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, anything that is advantageous to a life form, it's gonna evolve multiple times. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, evolution's always trying new weird shit, and sometimes it works.
But like the first way they evolved flight though was like Anchiornis or uh, Archaeopteryx, where they have 2 wings, right? The arms became wings. Then you had things like Microraptor, where the legs and the arms became wings, and then you have the weird ones, where they went the whole on freaking bat route of learning how to fly. Like they have these huge long fingers that would have been webbed, so they could fly like a pterosaur. Well, like a bat. Freaky.
Oh, and flying fish. I mean, technically that's not true flight either, but they do still get some air.
True, true. And biology is cool. Why do these people have to lie about it?
Yeah. All right. More brain pain. Let's go.
When everything about it is just pure bird. Dinosaurs could maybe wish they had these things. I believe birds are the only creatures that
Literally
have
all
feathers.
of these things.
We're going to look at some dinosaurs with feathers, but we'll see that they really are birds.
He admits that Oh, he said they're
And finally, some dinosaurs with feathers, but we'll see that they really are birds.
Is Tyrannus a bird? I don't think Tyrannus is a bird.
Yeah. And they had proto feathers. You know, It's
Well, they
and
had protofeathers, but still, like, well, I mean, really, the difference between a protofeather and a feather is we call one protofeather because it's more, uh, it's less derived.
yeah,
They had fluff.
yeah,
Some dinosaurs were really fluffy.
and the ones that had, a more compact, I guess, design to the feather, fuller but tighter, like more like what a modern feather is.
Mhm.
They served these purposes. It was advantageous. That phenotype became dominant. Where's the mystery here?
I mean, like, really, what's interesting is if you look at the anatomy of like a flight feather, the main development that sets these apart from like a Utyrannus feather is that central rachis going up here,
Mhm.
right? Just to keep it stiff. And then it branches, like all feathers branch. But then it appears that there were one or two secondary mutations that basically made the branches have branches. And those interlock to form barbs, which help to strengthen the feather and also catch air really efficiently, like a net.
It's like a surface area thing.
Yeah, like the evolution of this is really well understood. It's
Yeah, and genetically, they are they come from the same set of chromosomes as scutes and
Mhm.
scales. It's some type of keratin. I can't remember the specifics of it, but
Beta keratin, or
okay,
no, alpha keratin.
yeah.
Is it beta or alpha keratin?
I just know some of this stuff from watching, Dapper and other people like that, where they and Doctor or Professor Dave and
Okay, it is
just
beta keratin.
lots of random stuff.
Yeah, but like, yeah, we see the evolution of feathers really well represented in the fossil record. And like the weird thing is, by changing one regulatory gene, you can make an alligator grow feathers. So that
Yeah,
has some implications for Archosaur phylogeny.
yeah. It's this stuff is just so fascinating. That's the real insult to me is that this stuff, the reality of it when you dive deep and learn about it is so fascinating that what people like Menton and AIG do is just gross and
Yeah.
like like ugh. It's like why the reality is so beautiful. Ah, okay, sorry, rant over.
No, it's fine. That said, there was something in the chat that I just have to address. Vesta Freya, can you resist petting this boy? This absolute beauty of a gentleman? Can you really resist petting it? I'm not sure you can.
Well, with those claws that thing is rocking, I would probably keep my distance.
It's so fluffy, though.
It
And
is
this
cute.
is how fluffy it was.
It's adorable,
Yeah.
except for the claws.
Yeah, though it is 30 feet long and like 12 feet tall, but it's still so fluffy. I love it.
Yeah, sorry, I'm staying away. I will admire from a distance. No touchy. No touchy.
Look, you can pet anything once.
And finally, there are different creatures that fly. Insects fly, bats fly, but nothing flies the way a bird flies. And of course, do I have to tell you, dinosaurs don't fly at all? Well, let's ask a question that I think is going to really be very important for settling this whole issue. and it has to do with the way birds walk. Here's a question. Do penguins have knees? You ever thought about that? Do penguins?
Yes, they do. They're a tetrapod. They have knees.
Yeah, he brought this up in his talk that Dapper covered, and it's just dumb.
Yeah.
And to say that the birds, the way that they fly, whatever, da 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 da. Well, then you explain to me how we have these early dinosaurs, or late dinosaurs, the proto-avian dinosaurs, basically,
Mhm.
that don't have beaks and they have teeth, but they're flying.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Who freaking knows? But we have a penguin here though. There's the knee. It's not external, but it's there.
Isn't that a thing with?
It always surprises me how long their neck is too. Like, geez.
Isn't that a thing with most modern birds though? Is that their knees are inside the body wall?
Or at least they're hugged up close. The way they compensate for the lack of tail is different. They like a lot of the muscle attachments have moved. Birds are weird. Like they are definitely a derived theropod, but they're weird.
Most definitely.
Like if next time you work with a dead chicken, to get it ready for dinner, if you just move the leg, like you can see the knee come away from the body, but it is close, much closer than in most animals. Oh, and Jackson's right. What is with the rubber lobster? I didn't even notice that until he pointed it out. Why is there a random lobster? Weird.
Apparently, we're going to cover crustaceans too.
Penguins have knees. Is this a knee down here someplace? Let me use a brighter light. Is this a knee or is that a knee? And have you seen these rascals walk? They walk pretty stiff-legged, almost as if they didn't have a knee. The answer to that question, do penguins have knees, will take us a long way towards showing birds and dinosaurs are not at all the same. Well, let's give you a little test. If you can find bird knees. Here's an ostrich. And as you know, an ostrich can really smoke when it gets out and starts running. It'll beat a racehorse, about 43 miles an hour on an ostrich, one of the fastest creatures without getting into the cats. Where is the knee on this creature? Is this perhaps a knee right here?
Again,
that's the ankle.
Right up here. It's up close to the body, but it's here.
Yep.
Also, hey, look, half a wing.
Wing.
If it is, it's bent the wrong way. Did you notice that? It's bent back.
Oh, actually, I have a good comparison.
That's an ankle, not a knee.
Ooh, okay, thank you, Google. Wow, you actually worked for me here. So over here we have an ostrich skeleton, and over here we have a Struthia mimus. Now you might notice that their legs are built almost identical, among many other parts of their skeleton. Very worthy.
Yeah. Well, I got news for you. That's not the knee. That's the ankle of this bird. You realize what that means? That means this is the foot from here to here. How do you like to buy a
drink? He said something true.
Yeah. Also, though, like if you have a cat or a dog, they're the same thing. Like
Yeah.
humans are odd. Most animals, I want to say. Well, okay. Most mammals, at least, are digitigrade. They walk on their toes. Humans are weird. Well, I guess that's more of a primate thing. Primates are weird.
Yeah. Especially this primate because I'm flat-footed. I am
Where
very
is the knee?
plantigrade.
I'll give you a
Yeah. There's a thing. Not every human has the arch on the bottom of their feet. It's usually harder for them to walk, like most people.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Can confirm.
Oh, do you not have an arch?
No, I'm
you
completely flat-footed. Yeah. I'm
Oh.
so flat-footed that I can put my foot on the ground and then roll my ankle over and touch my knee to the ground while keeping my foot flat.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, people have almost vomited watching me do it.
I'm gonna ask you not to do that on stream.
No,
phantom view of where the knee is at. The knee is inside the body. That's why you've never seen bird knees. They're inside the bird's body. You'd have to kill the bird to see its knee. And what's attached to our knee that goes from our knee
Or you lift up the wing.
to our hip? That's our thigh bone, or the femur, we call it. And that dotted line represents where the femur is. Birds are the only creature I know of, the only vertebrates that walk and fly, that have their entire femur inside their body together with their knee. Now, this is going to give you a little help in understanding chicken meat. That's going to be worth the whole trip down here just to understand what you're eating when you eat chicken. From the ankle up to the knee, that would be the drumstick. And boy, that's a real drumstick on an ostrich. And you notice the skin goes all the way around the drumstick. That's because that part is, in fact, outside the bird's body. But what about this piece of meat up here associated with the bird's femur? That's the piece of meat called the thigh. And it's quite a bit of muscle, and the bone in there is the femur. And the thigh is a muscle that'll help move the leg, but the thigh itself in the bird doesn't move very much. You're probably wondering, why on earth did a bird have its femur brought from back here, swing forward all the way to here? And there's a one-word answer for that: balance. If birds' legs went straight down, imagine right from here would be the hip. So you take the bend right here, you straighten it out, the legs go down.
Wow, it's almost like they lost something that made them not have to do that. Like,
Well, even theropods, even though their femurs were fully outside their body walls, their femurs still went slightly more forward.
Mhm.
Like this is completely nuts. Like this is just absolutely bananas bonkers. Like reality denial. Like birds are not the only animals to have that positioning. This is just dumb. And hey, Doc, let me ask you.
Yeah.
The part of your body that surrounds your femur, what do you call that?
Probably the thigh.
He made such a big deal about pointing that out. It's like, yeah, it's called the thigh on every tetrapod.
Also, behold a man.
What is that?
It's featherless chicken.
A naked chicken.
Yes. And I think I see a certain something here. Like right here.
That would be
what do you think? What do you think that
knee.
body part might be?
That would be a knee. Knee.
Yeah.
Knee.
Like, what the hell is he talking about?
You must bring us a shrubbery.
Wait, did you say a strawberry? I thought it was a shrubbery.
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 Come on, Google. It's 360p. Just play the. Ah. Come on. Technology is a wonderful thing.
When it works. It's a lot of buffering for being shot on a potato. See,
Okay.
this is exactly why I just went out and dropped a bunch of money on a bunch of new equipment for doing my stuff. Because I was using my laptop and I was like out of storage space. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get a new computer because this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, I can't afford that, unfortunately. At least not yet. Maybe
well,
someday. For
I'm
now,
old.
my laptop works okay.
Yeah,
I just
I'm
have a
old
memory
and
USB stick to store videos and stuff.
wow. Well, and I've put in a lot of hard work doing blue collar stuff over the years, and I make good money. So
Yeah,
that's, I'm
I'm just starting on my career, so I'm not making big bucks yet.
yeah. I have no. You sound young. I have no idea how old you are.
Yeah.
I'm 42, and
I am not 42. But Ember, thank you, Emma. I do have, and I indeed do have a Patreon,
oh yeah.
which is slowly growing. The link to it is on my channel description if anyone wants to check it out.
Well,
Lowest tier is only $1, and you get to see all my stuff. Well, without ads, eventually, but you get early access to all my stuff right now, at least.
well, I'm definitely gonna have to slide by there and throw you a few bucks. I can afford it. So
Oh, thank you.
sorry, I haven't done it yet, but
Oh, no. It's okay. I appreciate it though. And, go ahead and pop.
yeah. Knees and femurs. We know
You
where the
literally
frick they
just
are,
worked.
Menton. Yeah. Jesus
You
Christ.
literally just. Okay, it works when I'm not sharing it. Google, what the shit?
So you take a bend right here, you straighten it out, the
There.
legs go down, ostrich would be about 5 feet taller, and he'd fall on his nose. But by having the femurs inside the body, that brings a balance point from back here up to here. You already now know things about birds and dinosaurs that a lot of people don't know. Let's take a look at the skeleton inside that ostrich. And here's where you see the bird skeleton is so unusual. The ostrich is a special case because it doesn't fly, so it's missing some of the features. But this bone right here is made up of anywhere from 20 to 25 separate bones, all fused together, and it's called the synsacrum. We'll look at it on our model in a bit.
And dinosaurs also had a synsacrum.
What was that?
And dinosaurs also had a synsacrum.
Many of them did. Most modern birds are more
theropods
extreme than other dinosaurs, but they all had it to some degree. That's actually a diagnostic feature of Dinosauria.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I mentioned when I was at the Indianapolis Museum with my daughter. Was I was explaining to her, I'm like, they have this thing called the synsacrum, which is where a certain number of vertebrae get fused to the actual hip bones themselves, and it becomes all one big piece. And my daughter's only 6, and I'm I'm just kind of doing a repetition thing with her. It's like I keep telling her this stuff so that later on down the line, people like David Menton can't lie to her. She's gonna be like,
"Hey, good
you're
plan."
wrong."
But here on screen, this is the pelvis of Gargoyleosaurus, a kind of ankylosaur. And Yeah,
Groovy.
that looks a lot like a sensacrum.
Yeah. And it was especially prevalent in the theropods.
Yeah. I've,
Notice it's rather short compared to the tibia here. This is the ankle and this is the foot. Now, see the bones coming back here? These are bones that in our body go to the front. Here are the pubic bones. They go to the front, but on birds, they go to the back, and they're widely separated. This allows an egg to get through there, a large egg, because birds have very large eggs. Well, that gives you an idea what the
They have a
skeleton looks like.
cloaca.
Your
Here's
mom has large eggs.
Chicken to, now,
so what was that, Ember?
Your mom has large eggs.
Well, it was fun having you, Ember. I hope you have a good rest of your night.
let's just quickly go through a few interesting things about this chicken. Number
I need a damn it Beamsy and a damn it Ember.
Hell yeah.
To see when I eventually get access to emojis.
Well, I try to fill in gaps in our lineup, like over at Aaron's when Jimmy can't make it to Joseph Smith. I'm a little bit more extra than usual. I can't quite fill both my role and Jimmy's, but I try to make it a little more amusing.
Ember's Doc's Beamsy.
Oh, come on. Ah.
number
Substitute
one,
Beamsy.
notice the neck. It has lots of vertebrae in it. If you're a mammal, you have 7 vertebrae in your neck. So did I tell you there was going to be a test? Oh yeah, there always has to be a test.
They're getting used to that by now. They're getting lots of quizzes.
By the way, how will we know what a mammal is? If it's got hair, it's a mammal. Okay. Mammals have 7 vertebrae in their neck.
It's a bit more than
There,
that.
A
yeah.
bit more than that.
There's Jesus. I am a
So here's the
layman,
test. How many?
and I'm like, no,
I mean,
dude.
if you gotta
That's
pick
not how any of this
one
works.
characteristic, mammary glands. That's what our name is for.
That's the most important characteristic.
Yeah. Mammary glands, warm bloodedness, and hair. Though the hair can be mostly lost.
Yeah.
Well, ancestrally, you have hair. I'm going.
How many vertebrae does a mouse have in its neck?
Mm.
7. How many vertebrae does a human being have in their neck? We have hair too, so 7. Now, trick question coming up. Be careful. How many vertebrae does a giraffe have in its neck? I hope you said 7 because the giraffe's a mammal. But birds have a lot of them. We'll talk about why it's important in a bit. Looking at this bird, we see that, look at the hand. Several bones are fused together in the hand, making basically 2 fingers out of that hand. The arm is pretty standard. We have a radius and an ulna and a humerus, pretty much as people do and dogs do and cats do and dinosaurs do. We call that homology. But when we get down here, things start getting interesting. Right here is this sensacrum we were talking about before, all those fused bones that make a very different and unusual pelvis. On the end is a short little tail. Birds today have short tails. We have birds in the fossil record that have long tails, but all of the long-tailed birds are built the same way as this bird, this chicken.
That is no. Archaeopteryx looks like a tiny Deinonychus.
Basically, what he's saying is that we have dinosaurs that look like birds. That's what he's saying. That's
Like here's a Deinonychus and an Archaeopteryx. Anatomically, they're near identical.
There are
The
a
only
lot
real
of
difference is the
similarities.
size.
The eyeball bone is considerably bigger, though.
True.
the jaw's a little different, the ilium's a little different, but not the pubic
There
bone
are-
is slightly different, but it's otherwise the overall shape is and proportions are similar.
Yeah, just like my point is, like, they would not call this a bird. they probably call this a bird, even though skeletally they
No
are
wishbone.
insanely similar.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at the arm.
Hmm.
The only real difference is proportion.
Yeah.
That's it. Proportion is the only difference.
Hmm.
The first vertebrae are movable. And then the little piece in the end is called the pygostyle. Pygostyle, pygostyle. That's a little piece of bone and feathers attached to that. If you have feathers that emerge from a bird's tail. Now, in the fossil record, we get birds with long tails, but they're not like dinosaur tails. They just have a long pygostyle to which feathers are attached. Here's the pubic bone, this little thin bone coming back here. How different that is from the big bone going to the front in our body. And down here is a keel. You won't find very many animals with a keel. And you see a keel, that's a place to attach muscle. And we'll see why that's important in a bit. Here's a special bone you find in birds you're all familiar with, the wishbone. That would be comparable to our collarbones up here in our neck. And they're kind of springy. They allow the shoulders to kind of spring together and come apart. This is the shoulder blade of the bird. And notice the ribs partway down have joints. That's an unusual feature of birds. So this is a bony rib, this is a bony rib, but this is a lubricated joint right in the middle here. What muscles attached to this keel? The muscles for flying.
Yes.
Well, we've had a chance to look at the bird. Once again, I remind you that the femur is inside of this chicken. The balance point is not back there at the hip. That would allow the
I
bird to fall on its
mean,
nose.
femurs are usually inside the animals they're a part of.
Yeah.
My femurs are inside. I don't know what the hell Dr. Doolittle there's got going on, but, whatever.
Also, just again, behold a man with his femurs out. Like, it's so easy to check if you ever cook a chicken.
Dude, the craziest thing about this is he is seriously just pointing out how all tetrapods have all the same bones. They're just different between different groups, different clades. That's hey, they have a femur. Hey, they have a tibia, a tibia and a fibula. They have a humerus and an ulna and a radius, and a sternum, and they have a shoulder blade, and they have an ilium. Yes, all tetrapods have all the same bones. They're just a little different because of, variation, evolution. God damn it. Sorry. Rant over.
Oh, you're fine. Just these people. These people.
I'm going tapioca weasel here.
The balance point is down there.
YouTube, I'm
In the
gonna
knee.
sue you.
Well, this is our chicken we're going to look at today. And so let's look at the real thing. We don't have to look at pictures.
Yeah, let's take a look at hero models. So looking at some of the answers, I saw a lot of the kids pointing out that 7, 7, 7. Everybody got the 7 idea. So we got that clear.
They even got the giraffe right. Huh?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
the phone is
But
how he's
birds.
monitoring their live chat
Oh.
because they got a ghetto set up.
And apparently they also have not gotten word that here's the thing with YouTube. Your video can be shit, but your audio needs to be good.
That's true of pretty much everything. That's why podcasts work. You don't even need video, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this latest video, I'm trying to be a lot more careful with my audio. I'm having trouble finding like a decent background track though. I just can't find anything that feels right.
That's one of the reasons I very rarely have any kind of music, because it takes me longer to find just the right song than it does to do all the rest of the video.
Well, I mean, my big thing is like some background noise always creeps in, but if you have a bit of music going, it helps mask that.
Anytime I use music in my videos, I get on FL Studios and make my own. I don't have to worry about copyright crap.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, bugger 'em.
How many vertebrae are in the neck of this bird? Oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'd say 15 anyway.
You passed the
Think of
neck
that, 15
there.
vertebrae in the neck.
He kept on going past the shoulders. Like, that's not neck anymore, my guy.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, just, come on.
The dinosaur has more vertebrae than we do too. But birds have a particularly long neck, and there's a good reason birds have a long neck. Birds have to get their beak from here to here. That would be like me getting my beak from here all the way back to here.
That would be quite a trick.
Yeah, I've tried it. I get about this far. This is it. Now, why on earth would any bird want to get its beak from here back to here? Well, if they're going to have feathers, you have a big problem. It's called high maintenance. Feathers
Even more than a lady's hair?
Oh my goodness,
He's
it's worse
going
than a
into
car. It's worse than
Oh,
anything you
man.
could see.
Oh, we got to
And,
throw in the random sexism.
Yeah. Also, hello, light. That's usually not supposed to be in the shot.
Who needs framing? I mean, honestly, the damn thing is too low, and it's at the wrong. It hurts my soul.
Yay, pain for everyone.
And it's the tiniest fucking softbox. It's like what, 16 by 16?
Not only have they not heard of a gimbal, they've never heard of Skillshare, where you can learn how to do these things the right way.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Save that for if I actually get sponsored.
Yeah, shit, I still need sponsors. I got to figure out how to do that. But, I mean, look at the wall of the lab. It's fucking white. Use the wall as a bounce reflector and you have giant soft light. What the actual fuck?
You freaking photography nerd. And I know because I am
So what
too.
you're saying is, Ember,
gonna
this
grab
is your
a
application for the job?
You know, Beamsy tells me that they make a pretty significant offer. However, A, I'd have to move to Kentucky. B, they have the whole statement of faith thing. And don't get me wrong, I am not above lying to them to take some of their money away. But C, I'd have to move to Kentucky.
Fair.
Uh-oh. I came back to move to Kentucky. But no, that's I grew up in Indiana. Although I don't live there
Oh,
anymore.
my advisor's from there.
But that was a joke whenever we met somebody from Kentucky. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm from Kentucky." I'm like, "Oh, hey, by the way, if your mom and dad got divorced, would they still be brother and sister?" And that is, and Kentuckians actually have a joke that the only purpose Indiana serves is to keep Lake Michigan from flooding Kentucky. So there's a whole thing there.
Yeah, yeah, interstate rivalries are interesting. I grew up in a tri-state area, and we had that too.
I live in the middle of a relatively large state. It's about an hour and a half to get to the closest state border from where I am. So we tend to go by township, right? Like in Syracuse, they make jokes about Fulton, and then in Fulton they make jokes about Hannibal, and Hannibal makes jokes about Red Creek, and it just keeps on going right down the lakeshore, probably all the way to Rochester. I haven't found the end of it yet.
Yeah, no, I lived essentially right on the border between Iowa and Illinois because I lived on the Mississippi. So you met a lot of Illinois people. Illinoisans can't drive.
Oh
That's
God, yeah. I live in Illinois now. I grew up in Indiana, and I live in Illinois now. And holy cow, no. It's like Illinois is the land of like traffic laws don't exist. They don't exist.
Especially in Chicago. Chicago is horrific.
Oh yeah. And
I
you know
am
who
never driving in Chicago again. I will use the bus. I don't care.
Oh, it's
I drive in
absolutely worth
Chicago all
taking
the
the
time.
bypass. It doesn't even matter if that it's 50 miles extra. It'll still be faster than going through the city.
Hysterically, you know who the worst drivers in Illinois are?
Oh,
The cops.
Well,
The
yeah.
I'm
police.
not surprised.
They are the worst drivers. They're the worst offenders. They do not obey any traffic laws at all.
I mean, that's true for every state.
Yeah, because who the hell's going to give them a ticket? Although I have seen a state trooper give a local cop a ticket. So little interdepartment rivalry when the occasion arises.
They're particularly bad here. I mean, it's like just brazen. Like we don't care what.
Oh,
the
you know
law
what's really
is.
fun? It's really fun when a cop tries to brake check you.
That seems unwise.
Yeah, and if you hit them, it's on you. Even though they brake checked you.
Well, that depends. If they tried to brake check me, we'd be planning a funeral, not deciding who's at fault.
Yeah, I saw
Size matters.
I saw
Giggity.
a cop trying to brake check a semi once in town. He tried. The semi crunched the back half of his car.
Wow. I'm having worked around big trucks for a long time. Doesn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah, people do stupid shit around big vehicles.
Oh yeah,
I drive a
fully
bus for
loaded.
my day job. I see it constantly.
Yeah, everybody thinks that you can stop the same way a car does, but no, not at all. A fully loaded tractor trailer at the standard DOT 80,000 pound limit, at 30 miles an hour takes 100 yards to stop.
Yep.
Yep.
Like you measure your stopping distance in feet. I measure mine in hundreds of feet.
Football fields. It's the American way.
Yeah. I the trash haulers that come into the landfill, I'm in tight with a bunch of them. I've known them for years, and yeah, man, it like when you think about the physics, this is something I used to complain to my ex-wife about all the time was like, it's like if people just had the most rudimentary understanding of Newtonian laws, they would not drive as stupidly as they do because they would understand momentum.
Yeah. I mean, like, putting it super simply, like, let's say your car weighs 2,000 pounds. My bus weighs 40,000. When it's
20
full,
times the weight.
yeah, I need 20 times the distance if my brakes were as good as yours.
Yeah. And not only that, pneumatic brakes don't lock up the way that hydraulic brakes do.
Yeah. But there's also that tiny bit of lag, too. Like, even
Yeah.
if you slam the brake, it takes like half a second for the brake to kick in.
Yeah, even if you pull the emergency stop, that's the worst freaking thing. It varies from vehicle to vehicle, of course, but there's always some lag. But you pull up to your parking spot, your gas pump, whatever the hell you got, and you pull your air brakes, and then you take your foot off the regular brake, and you roll 3 or 4 feet before you lock up, and then your head's in the freaking steering wheel, and it's rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, our parking brakes are spring brakes, but the service brakes are air brakes.
That was a hell of a tangent.
Hell yeah. We went for a little trip down the interstate there.
Like, you got 3 folks who work with big vehicles. It happens.
Those feathers have to be maintained. Birds spend about 20-30% of their day maintaining their feathers by preening and getting rid of bugs and insects. And there's a gland right here called the uripygial gland. It's above the bone, but under the skin. It has a kind of a nipple on it. And the bird gets its beak, reaches back here, picks up oil, and it grooms that oil into its feathers. What do you figure? Dumb luck on that one? No, I don't think so. I think that's the provident care of the Lord, even being expressed in birds. So
Almost every animal has a gland like that. Like, all animals produce oils. That just happens to be where the birds is.
And it's divergent evolution. Is like every animal of every kind has some kind of gland that produces some kind of whatever, and they're all based in the same chemistry. They just serve different purposes. Jesus God Almighty!
It's a little painful.
Yeah, I feel like this is like Maya's Bad Science Sunday right now. Oh my
I mean,
God.
it's possible that this isn't Dr. T's speciality, but it's possible something very much like this might get picked one of these days.
Oh dear.
I mean,
Uh,
deers have
Tapioca
anal
weasel
glands.
is mostly physics, right? Or is he chemistry?
Yeah, he's a particular flavor of physics. He's a theoretical atomic physics, not quantum,
Fun.
not astro, atomic.
And
So-
most physics I can usually do is biomechanics based.
But I mean, with all animals, I mean, he's pointing out that this particular gland is near the posterior of this animal. Name me one animal, one tetrapod that doesn't have some kind of gland at their posterior. Just one.
Yeah, good luck.
Humans, we have, from human males, we have the prostate. Deers have their anal glands. Skunks have a gland that's next to their.
I mean, basically all mammals have anal glands, even humans do.
Yeah, I mean, there's like pretty much every tetrapod has some kind of gland near their posterior that serves some kind of purpose. If it didn't serve a purpose, wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Good God. And I don't know. I know nothing.
the long neck is important for
Oh, what?
It's like I know nothing. I'm such a layman.
Well, you obviously know more than they do. And my cat's trying to eat my chair again. Yes, behave, Bach.
a bird. It allows them to look straight back behind them. Most birds are prey rather than predators, so it's good that they have a flexible neck to look around. So what things are similar? Let's start out there between a bird and a dinosaur.
So this is a model of a T-Rex. So this is what we would call a theropod dinosaur. It's the type of dinosaur that the evolutionists say birds evolved from.
And it's in a
Not
very
T-Rex
weird posture.
specifically, though. Also, yeah, a little weird model there. Once again, show them a Gallimimus, or
Yeah, there you go.
like it's a little less weird when you do that. Like, I think you can find a few more similarities between this and a chicken than you can with T-Rex.
Mm-hmm.
Right, if you think about it, birds, dinosaurs walk on four legs, like the sauropods. They're not good candidates for bird ancestors. Whereas the theropod, and that word theropod, you think of pod in podiatry, that's a foot doctor, a podiatrist, and thero means a beast, so they're called beast foot, these creatures. And it's the ones, as you say, that walk on two legs that the evolutionists believe evolved into birds, and that's a good starting point because that's unusual that a creature walks on two legs rather than four. So how would you balance if you're a dinosaur?
Minimum honesty.
Right from
Is it just me or did the audio just take a freaking nosedive?
Oh yeah, it was just
Yeah, I was wondering what the hell
Garbled.
happened.
Like, hello, I think we
Peaked.
walked into a wind tunnel somehow.
yeah.
From here would be the
Somebody
balance
doesn't know
point.
about compression
From
and noise
here all the
gates.
I don't think they know about a lot of things.
Astute observation.
way back to the end of the tail would be the weight on that side of the teeter-totter. Okay. And then from here forward is the weight on this side.
Tail feels a little long.
Ooh.
This model is okay in the broad strokes, but when you start looking at wait, what's going on? What's going on with the face? They attached the jaw wrong. They shoved the jaw up into the skull. That's why it looks so weird. Like the jaw articulation is all the way up here in the skull. Holy shit.
Well, I guess at this
That's so
point we got to
bad.
say we can't expect AIG to get anything right, can we?
No, but still. It gets worse the longer I look at it. That's awful.
And that comes out pretty well because if you have lots of muscle in the tail, and think of a dinosaur as having a tail like an alligator, very powerful muscular tail, then you can balance from your hip, as you see here. Here's the hip.
I mean, I will give him this. That's not the worst analogy. Saying it has a tail like an alligator, that's not a bad analogy.
Bone where the leg, the femur comes up and articulates here. You can balance because of the heavy tail. If we look at these little bars coming out of the tail, those are called dorsal spines. We have ventral, sometimes called hemal arches down here because there's a blood vessel that runs through these spines. And then there are transverse processes on the sides
Well, I mean the artery, but who?
here. And all those little processes that go all the way out to the tip of the tail have muscles and ligaments and tendons attached to them. And that allows that tail to be very powerful and also heavy. You look at the bird's tail, it's very, very short. It has a tail, and it has these transverse processes, and you can see dorsal spines here. Not too much for ventral processes, but there are little processes, which means this part of the bird's tail would move, just like the dinosaur's tail could move. But the rest of the tail is just this little piece of bone called the pygostyle that feathers attached to. So if a bird had a long tail, like some of the ones in the fossil record do, Archaeopteryx, for example, it would be like this stick. The tail would be stiff because the vertebrae would be all attached to one another.
Not really. Well, okay, yes and no. Most ancient birds are, I think they're tetanurans, which basically translates to stiff tail, because they had a lot of ligaments running through their tail. But like that was also true for many other dinosaurs, like Deinonychus here.
Here's a great question. Much like our coccyx, how many bones are fused together in the pegostyle?
That I actually don't know. How many?
I don't know. I'm just saying that as he was pointing to this, I'm like, well, it seems like that would be a group of bones that have kind of maybe fused together, much like the human coccyx. You know, it's our tailbone.
Mm.
You know,
See, Science Direct seems to be saying it's usually 4.
So there you go. You've got at least 4 separate bones that are fused together, much like our coccyx. What is so hard to understand about this?
And also, just like they had to pick a T-Rex for the dinosaur example. Just T-Rex is weird even within its family, let alone the larger group of dinosaurs. Like actually a really good analogy I heard yesterday. T-Rex is what would happen if Ferrari tried to build a semi-truck. It comes from a group of long-legged, really fast pursuit predators, and it just blimped into this huge, hyper powerful carnivore. Like it's weird even within its family.
Yeah, I mean, most of the theropods were what, like, I mean, you had bigger ones, but I'd say the average was what, 6 feet, 6 feet tall.
Average dinosaur?
Well, theropod.
Yeah, about.
Yeah, and
Like
they
a large
ranged.
turkey size.
Yeah, they ranged from like 2 feet tall to like T-Rex. I mean, that's a pretty broad thing. There's, they're picking the T-Rex because it's very specific, it's very recognizable, and there's a lot of differences. And they have a very specific structure that's very unique for that particular animal. But when you look at a lot of your other theropods, they're very, very bird-like. Your smaller theropods, even in, Jurassic era, your theropods are very bird-like. Your smaller ones, so they're obviously this is intentional.
Yeah, and like also even with T-Rex though, like depending on the specimen, you can see a lot of similarities between it and birds. Like here's another T-Rex, but it's the actual skeleton instead of a weird model. And yeah, I was right. That tail is way too big. Anyway, like they're a lot more similar. Or like here's an oviraptorosaur next to a bird skeleton.
Yeah.
Or Compsognathus, Archaeopteryx, and a chicken. Like there's this big gradient, or massive gradient within Dinosauria. They just had to pick up. They just had to pick that. They had to pick a T-Rex. Ooh, here you go. How about Velociraptor and a cassowary?
Who would win?
The cassowary.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Are they particularly brutal?
Oh no, Al's in the chat. He wants us to go back to talking about trucks.
The part that moved would be the base. So the tail would wiggle like this.
So it would look more like a peacock's tail, even though the peacock doesn't have that long pygostyle in it. It would look more like a peacock's tail moving. It can only really move up and down and side to side.
A lot of the birds that have that long pygostyle, you'll see the feathers are like a fern. They go out on both sides, all along the whole length, with no muscle in this part of the tail. So very lightweight. That's why birds, if they're going to balance, they can't balance from the hip the way a dinosaur does. They have to balance.
Okay, I think I figured out. His audio goes weird when he looks down. For some reason.
Well, he's got a lapel mic. You can see it right in between the V of his dark blue lab coat there. So when he's looking down, he's peeking out his mic. That's what's happening there. But there's this thing he was just saying about the tails that I got. Can you back it up a couple seconds? Because there was
Sure,
something he was
I'll
saying that
go back.
I was like,
I'll go back 20.
oh,
Peacock doesn't have that long pygostyle in it. It would look more like a peacock's tail moving. It can only really move up and down and side to side.
A lot of the birds that have that long pygostyle, you'll see the feathers are like a fern. They go out on both sides, all along the whole length, with no muscle in this part of the tail. So very lightweight. That's why birds, if they're going to balance, they can't balance from the hip the way a dinosaur does. They have to balance from their knee and walk from their knee on down.
Because they don't have all the mass associated with the tail.
Did they go over what you needed?
yeah. Here's this weird thing that creationists do that just drives me absolutely batty. He just compared peacock's tail feathers to a fern, to a plant.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he can't see the connection and the skeletal structures between these animals that are very structurally similar.
Also, hi, Al.
Hey,
Hello.
it's Al.
Ow, what's
How's
up,
it
buddy?
going? Oh, not a lot. I just rode my bike back to home so I can truck again tomorrow because we had a holiday in Canada. There's a partial holiday for some of Canada today.
I gotta dip out for video chat with my daughter. Hang on.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, baby. What you doing?
Oh,
You need to train
yeah.
Jake that it's
I'll
traditional
go
to
ahead and
mute.
mute him. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, silly Jake.
I will say calling the tail fern-like isn't the worst analogy. Like, you could do a lot worse.
You call it a cedar.
Yes.
Because, like, here's how, like, a lot of, at least dromaeosaur tails looked. It's kind of fern-like. Like the fronds. In fact, it's actually called a tail fan or tail frond. Oh, well.
Tail in the back to counterbalance.
That's right. You know, how would you kids like to walk like a bird? Would you like to try it out?
Let's try it out. This is going to be fun. Okay, get off the
Okay.
couch.
Oh, welcome back, Jake. I muted you. You forgot to mute yourself.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Sorry.
fine. If you want to go call, that's fine.
No, she keeps it brief. She's 6. It's
Fair.
always quick. So
Yeah, I have a 5-year-old little sister now who might be watching. I don't know. If she is, hey kiddo.
I hope I've
Anyway,
kept my language clean.
If
See, here-
not,
her
then we
mother.
can celebrate National Sorry Day.
Couch.
Off the couch.
Move out into an open space.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to really demonstrate very much with this because we'd need a winch to get me up. But if you're going to walk like a bird, first of all, you have to walk on your
Oh, hey, look, he doesn't have knees. He must be a bird.
toes, which, by the way, the dinosaur walks on his toes, too. In fact, this dinosaur, T-Rex, walks on 3 toes, so does this chicken. So that's another similarity. So you get up on your toes, see how high the heels are off the floor? And now here's the hard part. You have to bend down until your knees touch your chest. Well, I can get about, what do you figure, 1/3 of the way?
Okay, you aren't built like a dinosaur. What is this proving? Ugh.
Well, I think we
Try to
just
walk
proved
across the living room
that
like
strawberries aren't birds. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Are you
yeah, that-
related
that
to a
is valid.
strawberry, Dave?
And then to make sure your knees didn't leave, we maybe tie a rope around your thigh and around your body. So your body would be parallel with the floor. You'd be walking from
sounds
the knee on
kinky.
down on your tiptoes.
Oh, jeez.
Now, if any of you tried that, you'll probably need help getting picked up off the floor right now. But a bird, because God designed it that way, can run quite fast. As I mentioned, the ostrich can go about 43 miles an hour. That would beat, I think, all the racehorses out on the track.
And definitely a person. Okay, we've got a question here, and I think this will get to one of the other differences that you want to talk about. Now, we believe that from the fossil record, dinosaurs laid eggs, and we know that birds lay eggs because I've eaten their eggs before. In fact, there were some on my kitchen counter this morning. So Alexandra, who's 8, she asked the question, how do chickens lay eggs? And I think that'll play right into part of your
Sure will.
instruction here.
Another similarity between dinosaurs and birds is they are amniotes. That means they lay eggs, or they have eggs. Now, we humans,
That's not what an amniote is.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
An amniote just means the mother, or there's an amnion involved. That's it. Like in humans, isn't it the placenta basically takes the role of the amnion? In eggs, it's an actual structure within the egg, within the shell that cushions and feeds the embryo. Like it's
So these guys are saying because dinosaurs and birds aren't mammals, God exists.
Basically.
yeah, kinda.
And
Because the amniotic fluid is used in a physically different structure to do the same job in pregnancy or in fetus development. That therefore God created everything because that converged in evolution, making its progress in different creatures in different directions.
Yeah.
That sounds
And being-
totally right. They got
being
it.
that these guys are Christians, I guarantee they have kids. So they are aware of, the concept of a woman's water breaking. What do you think that fluid is? That's called amniotic fluid. That's what?
They may actually think it's water. They may
Yeah,
be
yeah,
they
they
may be
might.
unaware
Probably
because they say
you're probably right.
they'll rupture the sac to help if it's like blocking. I think it's called the cervix, like to make sure the pregnancy, ends in a safe delivery. They'll rupture the sac if it's in the way or something, right? Like the doctor will, and if it doesn't break on its own. Yeah.
There's certain situations where if it doesn't break on their own, but the woman is dilated and this and that, then they will rupture the sac artificially. Technology, science.
Scalpel.
Hey,
We don't want any of that
automatically
science getting in the
die
way of
childbirth
creation.
anymore. Yeah.
That science that's the work of the devil.
Never let facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's absolutely not. I never would.
Oh.
humans are amniotes too, and you think, do we have eggs that we come from? We do. The
Yes.
eggs just don't get outside of mother's body. They stay inside and develop there. But they have yolk and
Monotremes.
everything, just like a chicken egg might. Birds lay an unusual egg in that it's so big compared to the size of a bird. How big is the egg from a full-size, say, 3 or 4 ton T-Rex?
That's pretty lowballing it. But about football sized is the current estimate, because I don't think we actually have a T-Rex egg, but that's about how big they should be.
And how is that relevant? And how does that refute evolution? Hey, look, because of things like cesarean sections and nutrition and things like that, human babies are being born bigger and stronger and healthier as the bird evolves from dinosaurs. Well, guess what? their cloacas have more elasticity. They're able to lay larger eggs, which are able to mature faster, which have a higher rate of survivability. Mind blown. Where's the mystery here?
That's how you get a kiwi.
Like, where's the mystery here?
I don't know. It seems like you've
To be
just
fair,
over-explained it. It's going to get in the way of the Christian narrative, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, so Satan's lawyer here, they are just, I think they are just answering a question from the live chat right now. So this isn't part of their like whole or their original argument for why birds aren't dinosaurs.
As you can see, the bones of these two models are different colors. Therefore, they're from different thingies.
Yes, the plastic is not the same color as the bone. So 3 or 4 ton T-Rex like that. Yeah, that's really lowballing it.
It was
It's about
a
the size of a
dwarf
football.
T-Rex.
In the case of a bird laying an egg of that relative size, would be like a bird laying a BB. There would be no challenge to that. But if you're going to lay an egg that's nearly the size of this bottle out of this bird, you better have a.
Do chickens lay eggs that big?
Half the size.
I'm
of
not
that.
sure chickens
Not
do.
really. Also, that model isn't like full size. It's like half size.
I
Yeah,
thought it was an
yeah.
actual skeleton, just a small skeleton.
Maybe it's a freaking micro chicken. Chickens do come in
I
a
mean,
range
there
of
are different
sizes,
breeds of
much like
chickens.
dogs and cats and things. Some are big, and some are. But that is so tiny. Maybe it was a juvenile when it was killed.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
Oh.
It'd be a
it is
Cornish
little
game
bit
hen.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they just
That
wanted
T-Rex
to
is
tower over
definitely
T-Rex too much.
a juvenile when it was
Yes.
when it was preserved at that size.
Shit, I think that thing's smaller than the damn eggs would have been.
They said it would be the size of a football. Would that be an
Roughly,
American football or Canadian football?
An American.
Oh, here we go.
Because that would be like a really small ball, right? We have much bigger balls here.
Is this a controversy or a controversy?
I don't think it's either. I think it's just a known fact that the Canadian football is larger than an American football.
Oh, so now
Well,
we got to talk
it's
about who's
wider,
got the bigger
certainly.
balls.
They're bigger. I think they're longer and a greater diameter.
So they're easier to kick, is what you're saying.
They might be. I don't know. They definitely hurt more if you get hit in the head with one.
Well, we can end the USA Canadian thing and just agree on Aussies are out of their damn minds.
Oh, Aussie football, but like a rugby ball, I think would be closer to a T-Rex egg.
Aussies in general. I mean, I know you've met Beamsy and Mark Reed. Whenever he meets the most outrageous creationists, he invites them on his channel for a chat. I'm like, my dude, you're crazy.
Oh, hey, looks like Sydney went ahead and looked it up. Current size estimate for the eggs, where the eggs would have been around 17 inches long.
That's definitely bigger than an American and a Canadian football.
And tiny
Are
compared to
they
the animal.
thought to be
yeah,
an
that was pretty
ellipsoid?
big. Yeah.
And did they ever talk about? I know this is just a question they're answering, but like if the amniotic fluid's inside the egg with the growing fetus of whatever it would be, whether a modern bird or a dinosaur, is that not taken into account here? Like whereas like the mammals having an amniotic sac and a fetus together as two separate entities inside the
So-
womb is is that takes the place of the egg in this situation, does it not?
I think it would take the place of the exterior shell of the egg. Definitely. But I mean, have these guys never heard of monotremes?
I'm not sure if I've heard that word, but I'm a truck
Monotremes?
driver. Monotreme.
Like a platypus.
Echidnas, platypus, mammals that lay eggs.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. The ones that are kind of like hybrid
And
type
of
animals.
course, they live in frickin' Australia.
They look, yeah,
Where else would they be?
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah,
Pretty
those
much.
are yeah. I've heard of the animal. I just don't remember the term.
Yeah. Uh, monotremes is the overall kind of classification for all of them. So
Mhm.
But they're not dinosaurs.
Nope,
nope, they're mammals.
they're pretty far removed.
So
Although they don't actually
another
have
another,
mammary glands.
but it's another check mark for God because they're also not birds or dinosaurs. So God created everything. Because so far I know it came in late, but so far that's the argument I've heard from them.
Yeah, that's
Opening
basically
halfway.
been their argument, and saying dinosaurs don't have features that they do. That's their other argument.
And that there's
No,
no
Like
yeah,
how
so
like
that
genetic
was
dinosaurs
variation.
and birds are obviously very similar skeletal structures, very similar body plans that have obviously diverged and changed over time. But
Yeah, he's talked about knees a lot. Like I
Knees
think he
and
spent like 8
femurs.
minutes just talking about knees. Wait, actually, so like he started around here. Yeah,
was
like
that an ostrich
8
or an emu
minutes
there
of
at on the
knees.
earlier photo or the earlier
What was that?
screenshot? That was like an ostrich or an emu. They started talking about like their
Yeah,
is that what that? Yeah, it's like the way the legs bend in a much different way than a typical mammal.
yeah, yeah. He went over that.
It's just that they have a long, elongated ankle. That's what it boils down to. They have a long
Yeah,
ankle.
they don't have a knee, but they have that. There's a very common image I see when I look at um, the idea that we have a common ancestor, and it shows the bone structures of birds, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, and I guess what people refer to as fish, having like all the same bones in the same places, get different uses, but they're just different adaptations of the same bone plan, right? So you'll see, and
Yeah,
you can see the same thing even within mammals. Like you'll see like things like it like an equid, I guess, is like for horses and the like. They have their hoof and their lower leg is a different setup than like a dog paw or like a primate foot or hand.
You're talking about tetrapod homology.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not a great holder of the scientific biological lexicon, but my trucker's lexicon is on point, which I'll try to keep under wraps as much as possible.
Uh,
no,
you're
it
giving me
would probably
flashbacks.
blow these people's minds that like we have fossil rhinos and we have fossil horses, and we can hardly tell them apart sometimes. Like there's so many things that as you go farther back in the past are way more similar than their modern descendants.
The
If you put like a lot of teeth and all sorts of like longer bone structures on the average bird skeleton of today, I think like a lot of people would just misidentify it as like an Archaeopteryx or or another dinosaur with a similar body plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My 6-year-old daughter, I've shown her, I've Googled stuff on my phone and like shown her, like when we first started having this conversation, because her and I have gone in depth about birds and dinosaurs and why humans are apes and all these things. But like I've had side by side pictures and she's like, okay, yeah, absolutely. She's 6 and she could just look at the picture and be like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, birds are dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'm just going ahead and I'm playing this again.
Is this one that they don't have this one? The two dudes in the video.
This.
Yeah,
The
like
one I'm
that
showing
video
now?
is one you brought in
Oh yeah,
to show us,
like just
not
showing you
one
can
that
make a
they've
chicken
used in their
walk like a
video.
dinosaur.
Yeah, just by putting that extra counterweight at the back.
Mm-hmm. Like they automatically compensate for it too. Like that behavior is still in them after all this time. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
but he can't walk like that because he's a primate. So, God.
Yeah,
damn scapulas.
come on.
Take a look
brother.
from the back here. Notice the pubic bones, because they're so wide, and this whole structure in the pelvis is opened up to allow
It
that
might
big
be
egg
real
to come out.
bone.
So this gap that we can see right in here
Yeah, I think
is
that
where
might
the
be
egg would exit.
bone.
And these bones are
Just a
slightly
small chicken.
flexible too, because they're very
Right.
thin.
And the whole abdominal area, notice, is free for that egg. Take a look at a dinosaur by comparison. Imagine if a T-Rex laid an egg that was the size of a Volkswagen. By the way, that wouldn't work because the egg would just collapse under its own weight if it were that big.
The size of a Volkswagen?
What? Why was that ever proposed that they laid Volkswagen-sized eggs,
Why
or that
would
they
we
had
even think that?
young that started out at roughly that size?
Just what? Why would we even think that?
Well, it's
It's
like
just-
these. It's like these guys have never heard of like a maggot and a fly. Larva.
Yeah, they're
They're
quite
tiny.
quite a size difference. Quite a
And
size
they
difference.
grow up to be really big. So, like, and especially when you go back over 65 million years, oh my goodness, things are more basal. Like,
I started out as 2 cells, and I'm now a 350-pound trucker. Explain that one.
Or like, let's say you look at a
Meiosis?
caiman and you look at a saltwater crocodile. Their eggs aren't going to be near the size difference as the adult animals, just because they start out small. Almost every living thing grows as it ages. It's just
yeah. And
Well, that's just mind-blowing.
and that's where you talk about rewinding the clock, over 65 million years when you're talking about T-Rex. Well, yes, they had these bigger, broader, more robust pubic bones. They're a giant freaking animal. So that giant, robust pubic bone doesn't accommodate laying a large egg. So they lay a smaller egg and they grow real fast. Where is the mystery here? Like,
well, first, hey Beamsy. Second, Beamsy
shit.
brings up a sunfish. Yeah, sunfish send out so many freaking tiny eggs, even though the adults are like the size of a washing machine. Well, bigger than a washing machine, actually.
Yeah, those giant like marine sunfish, not what we colloquially call a sunfish around here, which are the size of like the palm of my hand or a child's hand, probably actually. Yeah, I know those things are massive. Those things are huge. I've seen them.
But they start out as at least according to Google, about 3/32 of an inch, or 2.5 millimeters long.
Well, thankfully, I
They
now
weigh
have
less
it in
than a
both, so I
gram.
can
Jeez.
two and a
that's
half millimeters.
gigantic. That's stupid huge.
It's almost like reproduction of any organism could start with something relatively small, and they don't need to lay an egg that is like directly proportional to their adult size, along with every other animal that grows to whatever size it gets to.
Yeah.
You mean there's not an exact logarithm that dictates these things?
That's what I'm
That
suggesting.
can't
I'm
be.
suggesting that cellular development, DNA, etc., could like program to get you to a certain size without starting with a certain amount of material, and that like the actual growth pattern dictated by what animal it is, combined with access to like food, water, and other things that protect you until you grow to an adult, change your final size. Just a thought from a trucker, not a biologist or a paleontologist. I'm just thinking here.
Oh, so it's an interesting thing because I decided to go ahead and look at the Wikipedia for sunfish. Apparently, in German, it's called the Mondfisch or moonfish, which actually kind of suits it better, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but we can't be
Yeah,
copying the Germans.
Well, apparently they
again,
also call it a schwimmende Kopf, swimming head.
The swimming head. Yeah, it does. It has no like. There's no transition. It has just like a giant. It's a giant head with a tail fin, right?
Mhm.
so
Yeah, and yeah, here we go.
And a dorsal fin, apparently.
wow.
Like,
See, I'm with Al because I grew up fishing up in northern Wisconsin. So, like, when we
mhm.
talk about sunfish, that's like sunfish,
Oh
bluegill,
yeah, I
you
caught
Yeah,
know.
it's
those
like
in
a
Iowa too.
crappie panfish, right?
Yeah,
Like in the
panfish. Yeah.
freshwater. But yeah,
Yeah,
the sunfish as a marine animal is that one. But we have like the same thing exists. Like there's a dogfish um, in freshwater is like the colloquial name for what I think people call a bowfin. And there's also a dogfish, which is like a small shark in marine
yep,
biology, right? So
yeah.
All I know
Which
is we're
I
going to
actually
get in a
had to
boat and go
dissect a
fishing,
bunch
eh?
of them.
that's right. Hey, we're gonna get the Coleman going on the shore there. We're gonna we're gonna get a couple of peckerel there, and we're gonna like fry them up, eh? We'll get a couple of schooners going too, and we'll crack those stubbies and get the Coleman going. Hey, we're all gonna have a good time. You bring the smokes, eh?
Eh? Let's go get in the boat.
Oh boy.
And the bird would never be able to get out of
I mean, hey, you know what? We can pick them up on the way to Sheboygan.
it because the shell would have to be so thick to keep it from collapsing. So dinosaurs lay eggs the size of footballs. But do you see everything in the way? This big skid, that's the pubic bones. Instead of being two little filaments that come to the back, we have a big man.
I, that's not where it goes through. It goes through here.
Not according to that dude though. They carry it like you know how you like to strap the big missiles to the bottom of like a jet instead of a fighter jet. It's like a bomber, and you drop them like they drop their
Yeah.
eggs like a missile, right? Like you just use a different attachment point, and you can hook up the same trigger mechanism. Boom, and they just drop
Okay.
eggs.
Why?
So this actually brings up a really great point, though, because if you look, if everybody remembers, the chicken had that kind of like almost like U-shaped, wide open pubic bone, right? And there was like
Mhm.
nothing in the way. Here we've got this big long bone that runs at kind of a V to the tail. and that's where the egg is going to be coming out. So what we've got here is an exact explanation of why the T-Rex, by body size, laid such a smaller egg. This is what their physiology was.
Yep.
This is why they were incapable of laying a larger egg. Now, the evolutionary advantage to the chicken being able to lay a larger egg, well, guess what? Where does a chicken fetus get its nutrients from?
The egg.
The yolk. The yolk. That's where it gets its... Okay, so if you as an animal can lay a larger egg and have a larger yolk, then that is evolutionarily, I can talk, I swear, advantageous. The chickens are more evolved than the T-Rex.
Well, so yes and no. Oh, and first of all, if you left accidentally, Al, that's fine. If you pop back in, I can re-add you. Like the way chickens seem to do it is they lay a few big eggs, and care for them really well. T-Rex, well, we don't know how many eggs they laid, but probably laid a few of them at least. And even though they're tiny compared to the size of the animal, they're still huge ass eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, and Beamsy's asking, why'd they pick a T-Rex and not a raptor? Yeah, I wonder why.
Raptors are just a little more bird-like.
At least they didn't pick
Spoiler.
a sauropod. At least they didn't go full Hovind. Like a stegosaurus or something like that.
That's a sauropod dinosaur.
So
Kimbley.
That's fair enough, Al. In the future, if you just click the link, it should take you back to StreamYards, and then you just sign in like you did before. But yeah, fair enough. Sleep well, man. Thanks for joining us.
Night, Al.
Night, Al.
But yeah, I
massive
mean,
structure, a pair of them.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, to me, the whole thing makes sense that as time went on and the birds evolved, they were gonna start laying bigger eggs compared to their body size, because that allows them to have a bigger yolk, which provides the fetus with more nutrients. It just makes sense.
Yeah. Unless you want to go the sea turtle route and just lay like 50 eggs.
Sea turtles, mate.
And half of them are getting eaten before they get to the water.
Oh, it's more than half. Like 70% at least, I think.
Unless Moana is there.
I really enjoyed that movie. Like, yeah, like you know how little kids will hyper focus on on a movie or two. I am happy that my little sister focused on that movie because it was actually fun, actually good.
Yeah, and dude, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's vocal performance singing "You're Welcome," and then they have a professional pop singer at the end of the video whose voice is just auto-tuned to absolute garbage. It's like, okay, you have a wrestler and an actor giving this great vocal performance. You're a professional singer. Why is your voice auto-tuned?
Who
No.
freaking knows?
No, that's not okay. Sorry. Back to dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, that's a good one, Beamsy. Comparing a T-Rex to a chicken is like comparing a kangaroo to a deer. Yeah. Just ignoring everything in between.
them coming together. And the skid, what on earth did they use that for? I believe when the dinosaur crouched down to rest, they put their weight. That's the only explanation
That is the main explanation, yes.
I can give as an anatomist for having pubic bones this massive.
Mm-hmm. So this cavity that we can see down the middle right here is where the egg would have to pass through to get out. And you can see how tight that.
I feel like T-Rex's pubic bones were closer together than that. But I could be misremembering.
I mean, and also to like, I can guarantee with that, like sturdy of a bone, like that thick and full, there's probably some muscle attachment going on there too. Not just,
Yeah. Yeah, there'd be some at least.
That's
okay. It's a little weird spread apart, but it could be worse, I guess. The pubic bones look too flimsy, though. I think they should be thicker.
That gap is compared to how open it is.
Look at here, the ischial bones are in the way.
Yeah,
They're
these
coming to
bones
the
go
back.
here. So all of these things are getting in the way of laying a big egg comparatively when we think about the bird skeleton. Mm-hmm.
So we have dinosaur eggs here, real ones, fossil eggs at the Creation Museum. And the biggest eggs we have are about the size of a football. They're kind of oblong. But think how small that is relative to the size of the dinosaur. So big similarities are the two walk on two legs. They both walk on their toes, but that's not a big deal. Your cat and your dog walks on their toes, not on their whole flat feet the way humans do.
And so do cows and horses.
So do cows and horses.
And ungulates, yep. Mm-hmm.
So these similarities, in my view, are not terribly significant. The differences are huge. And the differences are a completely different pelvis. This pelvis is more like our pelvis. I mean, let's look at a human pelvis. We had one out
Got one right over here.
no, it is not more like our
You
pelvis.
have a lot of problems.
No, Jesus, God Almighty. No, a T-Rex pelvis is not more like our pelvis than a chicken pelvis. What is this guy even talking about?
Yeah, like the major difference is just that the chicken has open ischia. Well, actually, do they have a divergent pubis? My brain is not function. I guess they have divergent pubis too. Yeah, they split instead of being solid like that.
Hey, but like, what are you smoking when you like just verbal diarrhea? A T-Rex pelvis is more similar to a human pelvis. What the actual?
But like, this is basically just a longer T-Rex pelvis with the pubis and ischium split apart rather than being together. That's it. Human pelvis is real wacky.
Yeah, that's. I can think of many things that this image makes me think of, but a human pelvis is not one of them.
Yeah.
It's beyond effed up.
This is the pubic bone here, the pubic ramus, and this is the ischium. And they go straight down. They don't go to the back as it does on the bird. They're more like what we see here, except on the dinosaur. These pubic bones are much longer and more massive, and they're not attached to the ischial bone. They're separated like that. This is sometimes referred to as a lizard-hipped dinosaur. Now, here's the interesting part. There are bird-hipped dinosaurs.
Well, wait a minute. If there were bird-hipped dinosaurs, shouldn't the birds have evolved from bird-hipped dinosaurs?
That's what you think.
That's what you think.
That's what you think. That's not the case. You can recognize a bird hip from a lizard hip that fast. If it walks on four legs, chances are it's a bird hip.
Probably, yeah.
And 4 legs just doesn't work for turning it into a bird, right? You need the 2 legs. So the evolutionists go to the theropod dinosaurs to get the 2 legs, and in the process, they end up with a dinosaur that's got a lizard hip, not a bird hip.
Intermediate.
Intermediates, like I closed the freaking picture, but just the Archaeopteryx and the
Well, and this is the thing, and Arn Ra has been saying this for a long time. Ember's pointed this out a bunch of times. This is the problem with people that are religion first. When you're religion, and I was religious. I was raised religious. I was in my teen years working towards becoming a minister. So, I you know this I know what I'm talking about. But religious thinking starts where we are and works backwards. And it's always backwards facing like that. It's just I haven't quite been able to put my finger on why yet. But it's just the way
confirmation bias.
Well, yes, but there's something deeper going on there. It's like, what is that need that exists that causes religious people to work that way? There's something deeper that I haven't put my finger on, and I haven't heard anybody else either.
Well, there's a few different factors, and it varies strongly from person to person. And in some cases, it's just that egotistical need to be the one who has the special knowledge, to be the one who is right. But often it goes much, much deeper than that. Like when you argue with a flat earther, you can fact all day long. You'll never break their belief in flat earth because it's not actually about flat earth. It's about the Bible. They believe the Bible for emotional reasons, and the whole flat earth thing is just a big old shield wall around it, so they never have to talk about what really moves them, what really scares them. A similar thing with young earth creation. That's why there's so much overlap. Very often, not always, because everybody's different, but very often, it's a fear of hell, or it's the desire to be loved unconditionally in the way people think a God does, or something else that's deeply, deeply emotional, but you have to, like, somehow circumvent all the bullshit walls they've built around it to get to the real issue.
Yeah, but it's always backwards. Everything's backwards. This thinking, just on every level, is completely backwards. You have to see, like, you're handed this book, and you're told this book is the answer to all life's questions, and then you read the book and you're like, no, this book is the questions, and how I live my life is the answer. You've got it backwards. So there's some weird kind of just cognitive dissonance going on there, where it like, and they don't understand that they're seeing it backwards.
Anyway,
Dapper. It's Dapper.
Huh? Oh yeah, yes.
Ceratosaurus.
Yeah, Ceratosaurus. I thought first I thought, wait, is he in the chat? Anyway, I pulled these up. Like you can see here, we have Ceratosaurus, pretty basal theropod. And you can see how the pubis is over this way, and the ischium is all the way back here. Going forward a bit, you have stuff like Deinonychus. The torso is skinnier, and like it's skinnier to make it a lighter animal overall, but it still needs like guts and stuff to digest food. So the pubis moves backwards to make more room. Then Archaeopteryx keeps that trend going, and it just keeps going until you get to the modern bird condition. Like they've compacted all their weight in that area, basically.
And what do you want to bet? As we move forward on that timeline, the egg size compared to the body size of the adults starts to get bigger. Like ratio wise.
Yeah. Boy.
It's because it's advantageous. It works for the survival of the species. Because if it
I just
didn't
realized
work,
I forgot to share it. Oops.
It's not the case. You can recognize a bird hip from a lizard hip that fast. If it walks on 4 legs, chances are it's a bird hip.
Probably, yeah.
And 4 legs just doesn't work for turning it into a bird, right? You need the 2 legs. So the evolutionists go to the theropod dinosaurs to get the 2 legs, and in the process, they end up with a dinosaur that's got a lizard hip, not a bird hip. Oh, it's a tough life for
It is.
evolutionists. There's problems all the time.
All right. Now, I know you could go on and on about this for days. And this afternoon, you're actually going to be giving the talk.
still be wrong the whole time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, Jake, Beamsy just sent a link in the chat. He wants you to see on why they're wrong.
He's going to be doing his talk where he about all kinds of these things. Some of the other key things that you'll draw out are and feathers, the difference in the respiratory system, all those things that we don't have time to get into today. You're going to look at some fossilized examples. So we had a couple questions about that. The herb kids asked, haven't they found fossilized birds inside dinosaurs? And the answer is yes. So that would be another indicator. So all of those things are going to be explained in a lot more detail today. And we're going to keep thinking about these things and challenging the evolutionists from that perspective. How do you see these things pointing you to God and his glory?
Each creature is made so perfectly for the way it lives and what it does. If you're going to live like a dinosaur, you couldn't be better built than this. And if you're going to be a bird, particularly a flying bird, and by the way, some birds fly in water rather than air, it takes the same kind of muscles. And such an optimized bird. A famous ornithologist, Pettengill, once said of birds, they are formed to fly. Everything about their body is just optimized. For example, to keep the weight down. How about this little trick? Birds have 1 ovary rather than 2. Hey, it keeps the weight down a bit. Birds usually, at least the ones today, don't have teeth. That keeps the weight down in the skull. There are some birds that have what look like teeth, but it's really just little spikes on the beak. By the way, one of those birds that has the nastiest looking teeth you've ever seen is a hummingbird.
Yes.
And that's probably not for chewing
someone
nectar.
tell Hovind
Probably not. I don't think they're using that.
Maybe insects. So just the optimization. 40% of this bird's body is tied up in the muscles to fly with, 20 to 40%, depending on the bird. And those muscles attach to this keel and come up to the wings, and they can only pull the wings down. They can't push them up.
Because muscles can only pull.
You
Like we
can
talked
only
about the other
pull.
day, the only thing a muscle can do is contract.
And yet this muscle that you eat when you eat the breast meat of a chicken has 2 layers to it, if you look at it carefully, an outer layer and an inner layer. The outer layer is the pectoralis muscle, just like we have in our body. The pectoralis major. I could rip off my shirt.
Well, let's
okay, yeah, we get it there. That muscle pulls the wings down, okay? How are you going to get the wings up with equal force, because birds get engaged in flapping flight up and down? Well, that's so neat, I should charge you $5 a piece just to explain this to you. The inner layer of muscle attached to the keel is attached to a line like you use to pull up a flag or a sail on a boat. And that line comes up through the shoulder and then down to the top of the humerus.
They have tendons. Okay. So do you.
So when that muscle contracts down, it pulls the wing up. When the pectoralis pulls, it brings it down. So the one that raises it's called the supracoracoideus muscle. The one that pulls the wing down is a pectoralis muscle. No other creature has a supracoracoideus muscle. Dinosaurs don't have it. And that requires special bony struts so that you don't pull the shoulders out of shape. And only birds have these special struts. They're called coracoids.
Yeah. All right. So all of these things are just.
I am pretty sure dinosaurs had coracoids. Let me double check that.
And even if they didn't, let's look at it this way. Doc, do you have a 2, 1, 2, 3 dental pattern?
If I was a human, I would, yes.
So yeah. Is your entire body covered with noticeable fur?
If I was a human, yes.
Well, noticeable. See, but the what I'm getting at is like when, as a human, when we look at our skin, we have very fine, tiny hairs, but we have lots of them. But when you look at like a chimpanzee or a gorilla or orangutan, they have long, very thick fur.
Mhm.
Well, that's because even though humans are apes, we're a different kind of ape and we have a lot of similarities, but we do have our own unique characteristics. It's the same for every animal on the planet that is related to any other kind of animal. Yeah, birds have derived characteristics
Mhm.
that are not basal.
Yep.
That's because of evolution.
Also, I did just look it up. Every vertebrate, or at least every tetrapod, other than therian mammals, so like marsupial and placental mammals, have a coracoid. So he is categorically incorrect.
And if he's such a brilliant anatomist and knows human anatomy, then he should know that, right?
Should. Oh, and apparently humans do have a reduced version of it called the coracoid process.
Weird.
Which, well, actually, I don't know if it's actually the same bone, but it serves the same function. It's an extra muscle attachment point. Point being, wrong. Very wrong. Oh well, let's finish her up. We got like a minute left. I
Just
hate you
amazing,
two.
amazing design features that we can distinguish clearly from birds and dinosaurs. And I encourage you guys to
But
check out the
why
talk
the
later this afternoon.
lobster?
We'll also be featuring talks again at 3
Why?
and 7, and that'll be our regular schedule all through the week. And if you don't get a chance to watch it today or catch it later, or you want to share this with friends and family, this video, Form to Fly, is the video that Dr. Minton explains all of these things. So you can purchase this as a DVD or a download, share this with friends and family, especially those who might be skeptical of the biblical account of creation. And in it, as he always does. All right, we thank you for all you for joining us today, and we will.
Yeah. Okay. So
There's
that
just
was
shilling
Our
shit.
Birds Dinosaurs by
Gotta sell the
AIG.
DVDs.
I sorry, even if I didn't accept evolution, like that is just that wasn't convincing at all.
Well, and here's the thing is, you know, the three of us and probably most of your audience and the skeptic community on YouTube in general, we've been around, we've watched these videos, we've heard these terms time and time again. And when we sit and listen to somebody like David Menton, we know why they're wrong. Because we've heard these things over and over and over again. Their target audience has never heard these things. They live in an echo chamber.
True.
So he's just reinforcing the things that they've always been told, and they don't know any better. And it's sad.
Mhm.
And it's sad that they charge them money for it. That's the really disgusting part.
Yeah.
Grifter's got
Like
a grift.
Yeah, it's like Hovind taking every single opportunity he can to try and sell his DVDs.
Buy my DVDs.
Actually, like, genuine question: when was the last time you used a DVD player?
I don't even own one.
Yeah, same. I went and bought a DVD of a weird, crappy horror movie to watch it and laugh at with the kids. And I don't have anything that plays DVDs.
Like it was noticeable with tapes when it happened with tapes, but DVDs just kind of gone.
Yeah, they just quietly like I still have a whole drawer full of DVDs, but when I
Mm-hmm.
bought this house and moved in after my divorce, I was just like, I signed up for streaming stuff, and I'm like, I've got all these great movies, and I'm like, I can access them on streaming. Why do I need to buy a
Yeah.
DVD player? So
Technology.
We
yeah, well, hopefully creationism can go out of style like that at some point.
I
It's
mean, it
shrinking.
is gradually, at least in most of the world. America's just lagging behind, because of course it is.
Yeah, well,
I think there'll always be a pocket of conspiracy nuts, the same way as flat Earth, but yeah, it's shrinking. The only reason it isn't shrinking faster is because more and more people are switching to homeschool and buying the material, basically speed indoctrinating their kids, and they more often than not drop out of it as soon as they get out of that homeschool situation. But it still beefs up the numbers for a little while. The ones who stick with it have more kids than other people, and yeah, so they would be the fastest growing religious group if they didn't have such a huge attrition rate.
So I do agree with you there, Ember. But well, actually, I forgot what my objection was. I was gonna object to something in there, but oh right.
Oh, I guess Gallop,
I
yeah.
think
Haha.
I think it's still around also partly just because it's something a lot of political candidates can use. Like they can use an ignorance of science to appeal to their fan base, or to appeal to a voter base.
yeah, and living in that kind of environment, that's the town I live in is less than 5,000 people. It's a pretty small town.
Mhm.
The town I grew up in is just right around 2,000 people now.
Oh, same.
Yeah, it was less than that when I was a kid. Um, my mom is 65 years old. She has smoked cigarettes since she was 18 years old and refuses to get the COVID virus because she doesn't want Bill Gates' microchip.
The vaccine.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
will not get a COVID vaccination
I want
because
microchips.
she doesn't want Bill Gates' microchip. That's the area I live in.
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm 42. My first vaccine was the Johnson and Johnson, and then I got the Moderna as a booster a year later. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm still alive. But yeah, I mean, it's that rural ignorance and distrust of the city, the bigger world, science. Those slick politicians and their, it's just that yokel mentality, and
Mhm.
it's rough.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I grew up in a area like that too.
So,
yeah,
and
we do what we can to push back.
that's one of the reasons I love getting online with you guys and doing this stuff and interacting. Is it's like I have people somewhere. There's a tribe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Community is the most important thing. It's a big part of why we're all here.
Oh, and on that note, thank you both of you for joining me tonight. This was fun. Jake, welcome back anytime. I do this every Monday.
I got
Actually, yeah, kind of actually big thing. This is the 10th episode. We made it to double digits.
Da, da, da.
congratulations.
Ah. Who knows what we'll cover next?
Right?
Like we've been doing mostly geology and biology. Maybe you could dip our toes into another creationist thing.
There are a lot of them.
I don't know much about the distant starlight problem.
Oh God.
Maybe I can find something on that if
Jason
you would like to
Lyle.
educate me, Ember.
Jason Lyle. Oh God.
Yeah, that guy is. There's actually a bunch of creationists who deal with that too. Jason Lyle is the one who pisses me off, but Danny Faulkner covers it, and I forget the name of the guy, but his solution is that God created the universe 14 billion years ago, tucked Earth into a black hole so time didn't pass, waited until 6,000 years ago and pulled Earth out of the black hole so that it was only 6,000 years here on Earth.
Did
What
you
the
cover him
actual-
recently? 'Cause that sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it was a ways back, but I did cover that dude. But I can't remember his damn name.
I have one question. How much acid has that guy eaten?
Right?
Because that is the most convoluted craziness I have ever heard in my life.
I mean, on the plus side, at least he's saying the universe is 14 odd billion years old.
It's a workaround.
It's
Yeah. Not
Good
fully
point.
refuting, I guess. Or attempting to
goodness.
refute. Not fully attempting to refute the science.
oh jeez.
Well. Anyway, yeah, thank you both for joining me. Everyone, have a great night or day wherever you are. I know we have some Australians in the chat. Go out there, smell the emus, whatever you weird people do.
Watch out for drop bears.
And, yeah, see y'all later.
Night,
Thanks
folks.
for having me, Doc. See you, Amber.